Welcome to R.A.N Perspective. Um, this week I'm gonna just kind of jump right into it, yo. Um, kind of had like I've been feeling away for a minute, man. Like the past couple months or so, maybe longer than that, honestly. Going back and forth and struggling with some things that I've been working on personally. Um, so I'm gonna kind of jump straight into this episode, man. I appreciate y'all for joining me once again. Um, you know, uh, last week, or not last week, but the last episode, I kind of talked about a little bit, one of the things that I've been struggling with for years, and that's, dependency on alcohol and shit, you know. So the title of this episode, The One Night with Cardi, is kind of to pay homage to one of my favorite artists, Wale, and one of my favorite albums by him, the album About Nothing. He titled every song on that album and the album in that format. The album About Nothing, the One Night in Houston. You know what I'm saying? The Glass Egg. You get what I'm saying? So I titled it The One Night with Bacardi because this is just a episode where I'm going to be completely open and honest and probably the most vulnerable I've been since I've been doing this. So, I mean, that album is super important to me because it's honestly, I feel like that album saved my life. You feel me? And I know a lot of people probably got songs or albums that they have like a deep emotional connection or some type of deep reverence with or for. You know what I'm saying? But like this one really saved my life, yo. Like I was in a super dark place. You know what I'm saying? Like spiraling and not really, like not really myself and confused about whether or not I still wanted to be here. Not physically, you know what I'm saying, but like where I was in life at that moment. You know what I'm saying? Like the relationships that I was in, you know what I'm saying, with family and with friends, even with my ex-wife, you know what I'm saying? So like it is a really dark space for me, like a really crazy time in my life, you know what I'm saying? Like I always credit me still being here to my kids first and foremost, and then that album. I never really give myself credit for still being here because I mean I understand, like I've never contemplated you know what I'm saying, taking my life or nothing like that, and I don't make light of it because there are people who do contemplate it and people who do take their lives and stuff like that, but I could always understand it. You know what I'm saying? Like I was in a place where I could understand it. Like it wasn't like I never made an effort to attempt or to go through it. Like I always like I knew, like I still know that that's not something that I would do. But where I was at, like the space I was in was so crazy and so hectic and so full of turmoil and just like so deeply rooted in depression and anxiety that I could understand. Like I could understand the selfishness and the strength and the cowardice and the bravery of, you know what I'm saying, like going through with it or contemplating it at the very least. Like, you know what I'm saying, having those type of thoughts on your mind and still being able to make it through day to day. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's a lot of things depending on how you look at it. You know, some people say it's selfish, but you got to be a strong individual to do something like that. Like, some people say that it's a coward thing to do instead of facing your problems, but you got to be a brave motherfucker to do that shit. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not condoning it by any means. I'm just saying that I can understand the thought process. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's such a am I still alive type of thing. But I digress. So I've probably been drinking for a long time, since I was 17. You know what I'm saying? So, like, it's nothing new to me. It's nothing new to me. It's nothing that I was just like recently exposed to. But it was something that I began to become dependent on, like I said in the last episode, just to help me feel normal or at ease. Just even being in my own home, you know what I'm saying, in my relationship, you know what I'm saying? And it just got to a point where, like, it did get to a point where if I didn't, then I really just felt like I couldn't, not like I couldn't function, but just like damn, I know something gonna go, like something not gonna go right. You know what I'm saying? So, like, that's what it was for me. And I was spiraling, like at work, at home, and personal relationships with friends and family. You know what I'm saying? And like, I really thought that I was really losing myself. Like, I was really losing myself, like losing a grip on who I was and the type of person that I was raised to be, the type of man that I was raised to be. And a lot of that are the issues that I contributed to my relationship. I can certainly say may not have been so, they may not have been issues that would have existed so prevalently on my behalf had I not been so dependent on alcohol. You know what I'm saying? So when I found that album, and I like finally listened to it, it's just like, it's gonna sound so cliche, but it spoke to me, like, you know what I'm saying? And like, it really gave me the sense of, like, instead of fumbling around and stumbling around and constantly drinking, trying to figure out how not to feel so abnormal about the things that were going on in my life, or so indifferent about the things that were going on in my life, like how to embrace that and how to, you know, like, look at the issues that I'm going through, or look at the issues that I've been presented with, and finding a way to work through them shits. And I'm not gonna lie, a lot of this shit, you know, so that album is so old. I think that joint came out in like 2015 or something like that, somewhere around there, 2015, I believe. But I a lot of these things I'm still dealing with. I'm still working on. Some of them may have gotten better, certainly, but it's one issue that I still struggle with. And I was definitely in denial. You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember on the last episode, I said, I've come to terms with the things that I did, the things that I did previously when I was going through that. And I've made a considerable amount of peace with that. You know what I'm saying? But I've made a considerable amount of peace with that. You know what I'm saying? But it's just like you never really know what type of progress you're making. And I seen this clip on Facebook, one of them reels, and it was like, don't confuse movement with progress. And that's how I feel about this situation. I feel like I've been moving, but I really hadn't made considerable progress. You know what I'm saying? Like, I stopped drinking. That's tea, by the way. I stopped drinking. You know what I'm saying? And that's movement. But then I get in a situation as to where it demands me to show my growth, and I don't put my best foot forward, or maybe I don't take the correct step. You know what I'm saying? And that's not making progress. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm still hurting people that I care about. I'm still damaging my reputation. You know what I'm saying? Embarrassing people that I care about. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, maybe it's not I can limit myself type of thing. Maybe it's I need to stop altogether type of thing for me. And I'm gonna be honest, I really don't wanna stop. But at the same time, it's like, what do I value more? Do I value the people that I have in my life more? Or do I value being able to have a drink or two more than the people who are standing beside me, and the people who got my back, and the people who are supporting me through the shit that I'm going through, or the things that I'm trying to change about myself? You know what I'm saying? And like, one thing that really be eating me up, man, is like when my actions don't reflect, and I just said this to somebody the other day, when my actions don't reflect the level of respect that I have for you, like, that hurts me more than anything else. You know what I'm saying? And I've always been like that. And as, been people that I've hurt before because of this. And I was probably just so jaded and so dependent that, in hindsight, maybe I didn't really care as much as I should have at the time. And, you can apologize for shit like that, but sometimes, it's a point where, the apologies just don't cut it, and it is what it is, and like, you can't fix that shit. It just got to stay the way that it is. You know what I'm saying? And I understand that. But it was at a point where this was really like controlling every aspect of my life. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I would stop at stores on the way home to get something to drink while I'm driving home. You know what I'm saying? Or if I was going to see family, I would stop at a store, get something to drink on the way to see them. Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, it would get so bad sometimes that I would show up already like tipsy or already like halfway fucked up. You know what I'm saying? And like that album really played an important part of me because, like I was saying, it helped me see that like I'm not really facing the problems that I say that I'm dealing with. I'm just agitating. You know, I'm poking at them. You know what I'm saying? With a temporary, it's not even a solution. It's just a temporary something. You feel me? Like it's just it's agitating the fuck out of my issues. It's like a catalyst. You know what I'm saying? It's only speeding up how quickly I'm gonna crash out. You know what I'm saying? And on a lot of things, I did crash out. You know, like relationships and opportunities and just like being the best person that I could be for my kids and to my family. You know what I'm saying? Not to say like I wasn't there for my kids. I always been there for my kids, regardless of whatever. That's one thing that I'll never flake out on is my kids. But you just can't be your best self if you know what I'm saying? Like you can't be your best self when you depending on something like that. You feel me? And even now, like in a sense, I feel like I'm still kind of dependent on it because I have people, because I have things now that I didn't have before that are, or I have people and things that are great to and for me now, and I still make decisions that sacrifice those bonds and those people and those things just for a temporary like satisfaction type of thing. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want to lose these people. I don't want to lose these things that I've fallen back in love with, and these parts of myself that was able to reconnect with. You know what I'm saying? These people that are these people that are dear to me, and these relationships that are important to me. You know what I'm saying? I have really given a lot of myself up because of dependency on alcohol. Like, and you think like having going through like a DUI situation, that I would have learned to like leave it alone. You know what I'm saying? But I've eased up. I've backed up. You know what I'm saying? I don't drink as much as I used to. I don't drink as often as I used to. But I still drink too much. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could personify my relationship with alcohol. And it's one of the most desperate relationships I've ever been in my life. Like, everybody uses this word so casually. toxic. But literally, one of the most desperate, one of the most toxic relationships I've probably ever been in was my dependency for alcohol. Still is my dependency for alcohol. Like I you know, and it's like it's hard not to feel like you're failing sometimes. You know? When you can see the people around you, how upset they are, or you know, how like defeated they are when it comes to your actions, your reactions, how you choose to deal with stuff, how lightly you take it. I mean, I don't take it lightly, but sometimes I do try to make a joke of it because it's how I usually deal with things. But you know, when you can see that you're not only like hurting yourself, or the things that you're doing are not only, there's not only consequences for you, but there's residual consequences and residual embarrassment, and that secondhand sense of defeat for the people who care about you and that love you, that know who you really are. You know? And they get defeated watching you fail over and over again. You know what I'm saying? And eventually they'll give up too. But the people that I have in my corner now, I don't, you know, or feeling that renewed sense of like my family is in my corner. Because for a while I didn't even feel that. For a long time I didn't even feel that. I was just having a conversation the other day with my moms about, you know, how particular parts of my divorce went and how I felt like they felt like their feelings about what I was going through was more important than how I was processing it, how I was dealing with it. And you know, I think I might have mentioned this before in another episode, but yeah. But a renewed sense of having my family back behind me, and just having friends and having people that are close to me. I don't want to lose that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to lose that. And I can see that if I don't like tighten up, that's just gonna happen. I'm gonna end up losing somebody that's very, very important to me. You know what I'm saying? That's very dear to me. Just in a realm and a sense of support and shit. You know what I'm saying? And I don't wanna go through that. In some cases, you know, my dependency made me feel almost invincible. You feel me? Like almost like nothing could hurt me. And believing that, I guess it wasn't that nothing could hurt me. it wasn't that nothing could hurt me. It was just more so like I was too blind to see that, or too jaded to feel that shit was still really hurting me. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, like, I've, in the course of many years and recently, I have ruined experiences for people that, you can never really make up for that type of shit. You know what I'm saying? It was like no matter what you do, you can never, recreate those experiences for people. And I've ruined a few of those experiences just because of my lack of acknowledging that I needed to let this go, or I need to let this go, you know what I'm saying? And successfully doing so, or consistently putting in an effort to do so. You know what I'm saying? So I I have probably done more damage to myself emotionally and mentally and physically as well, not getting my shit together as far as drinking and or not drinking, rather, I guess I should say. And it's like I can tell that there's really things that it's different for me trying to process things now with a clear mind and like not drinking or not drunk or hungover all the time and so on and so forth. It's different trying to process things now. Some things are easier for me to really think about in the process and to put into perspective. Some things not so much. Other things, like when I think about like hindsight, when I think about the way I behaved or my actions or my behaviors, nobody should have ever had to deal with that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like I would go out. I remember I went to, ironically enough, it was a Wale concert that I went to. And I want to say this was for the R.A.N album, I think. And it was at the Ritz. And I went to this concert by myself. And I got fucked up. Like I was like, all right. So like I remember the whole concert. But after that, like I don't remember very much. Like for real. I was maybe 15 to 20 minutes, if that, away from the venue. And the concert was over like maybe 12, 1 o'clock. I ain't get home till 5. So I was just like, I had drunk so much that it didn't catch up with me till after the concert was over. Like after my body was like on the way down. Like it was no high energy, nothing to keep me like moving or up or active, so that, you know what I'm saying? So like once I started to cool down, that shit just hit you. And I remember being at several different places. I can't remember for sure all of them, but I know for sure Harris Teeter. Don't know why I was at Harris Teeter. I do know I had to stop and change my tire because somehow my tire blew out. It was just like a lot of everything. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, just super hectic for no reason. Like, there's no reason that like all that shit should have happened. And I ended up coming home at like 5 in the morning, which is completely unacceptable. And there's no reason that anybody should have had to deal with that. You hear what I'm saying? Like nobody should have had to deal with that. I remember going to see my brother in Charlotte one time. And I went out with one of my homeboys, and the guy had to pull over and sleep. Like I couldn't drive anymore. Like I couldn't focus. I couldn't think. Like GPS on, and I'm driving around in circles. Like I had to pull over into a parking lot and just sleep for a couple hours. Woke up, got back to my brother's crib at like 8 in the morning. And I think the spot closed at like 2. So from like 2 to maybe 4, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm just driving around Charlotte in a circle. You know what I'm saying? Like it's shit like that. And you would think that these things would be constant reminders for me to not do this shit no more. And instead of having I can't allow this to happen the next time type of thing, I approach it with I'll do better next time. And then the next time coming, it's a similar situation. I'm embarrassing myself in front of people. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's crazy. Like, I understand people get a little too fucked up sometimes, but like at some point, I know I said previously, like, in the aspect, in context to the last episode, I was like, you my cousin, bro. Why wouldn't you tell me? Hey, bro, you fucking up. When you see me fucking up. But to be fair and to be accountable for my own actions, I knew what I was doing. You know what I'm saying? Where was I at to refocus myself, to regroup with myself and say, hey, boy, you fucking up. You don't realize you just came home at 5 in the morning, my boy, you fucking up. You hear me? Like, where was I at for me? You know what I'm saying? Why didn't I stop myself from fucking up these relationships and doing things to garner distrust from the people I care about? Or why didn't I stop myself? Why didn't I have the notion to stop myself from tearing apart these relationships that I had with people? Friends, family. You know what I'm saying? A lot of things. A lot of things have really been my saving grace. As I mentioned, my kids, music. You know what I'm saying? Writing. But the more I fell into that dependency, the more I fell out of love with those things. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like the writing, the reading, the arts, like the things that I love dearly. You know what I'm saying? The more I fell out of love with those things, the more temperamental I became with people. Like, I was so hot, cold with a lot of people for no reason. and just damaging relationships. I mean, I'm hot cold now, but it's more so. No, I wouldn't say that. When I like you and I care for you, just as a person in general, a friend or whatever, you know what I'm saying? When I like you, when I care for you, when you somebody that I would when you're somebody that I would sacrifice a piece of myself for. You know what I'm saying? Like if I love you, bro, like if I really love you, you know what I'm saying? Like any small thing that I do to you will ruin me. You feel me? Like that's how I am. Like if I hurt your feelings in the smallest way, it's gonna kill me for days. My whole mood will change. A lot of the times, you know what I'm saying, I can't even function. Like I won't move from the bed. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how down my mood is when I do things, when I hurt people, or when I have done things to people that I truly care about. And like on the other side of that, if I truly care about you, if I truly love you, if you truly somebody that I would sacrifice a piece of myself for, like there's no end to, you know, how far I'll go for you. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not. There's nothing that I won't do for you. And these are the type of bonds that I have with people now that I see that I'm still continuing to tarnish and to tear apart, not intentionally, but even still it's happening. You feel me? Like regardless of whether I'm sober or drunk, I have to be accountable and I have to be responsible for the things that I do and say. Like I really have to be accountable for the things that I do and say. And I don't want people to hold those type of things against me, but at the end of the day, like I said, these are experiences that I'm ruining for people, you know, that they can't get back in their lives. These experiences that they can't get back in their lives, or you can't redo, or so making them feel away, hurting their feelings, or you know, disrespecting them. Like I said, whether it's intentional or not, and it's definitely not. But you know, like once you make somebody feel away, it's hard to make them forget how you made them feel. Especially if it was like especially if it has like a negative connotation attached to it. You'll never forget that. Like even if another situation like that never happens again, they'll never forget that one moment. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, hopefully they forgive you for it. But forgive don't mean forget. You know what I'm saying? And you just gotta wear that shit. Like, there's things in my life that I've done that I have to wear for, you know what I'm saying, the rest of my life with certain people. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I've done a lot of shit that I'm not proud of. Not to say that it was all necessarily bad, but I've done a lot of shit that I wasn't proud of, or maybe I shouldn't have done, or that I didn't give enough thought to because of my dependency, because I felt like I needed that. You know what I'm saying? More than this, because I felt like I needed the alcohol more than I needed to be able to clearly and cognitively process the issues and the things that I was dealing with. And I have someone in my corner, and I have people in my corner that are well worth me not depending on this shit no more. I still listen to the album About Nothing to this day. Every time that I feel like I'm going through another one of my bouts with depression, or every time I feel high anxiety, I listen to the album About Nothing. And it doesn't always like instantly clear up how I'm feeling, but it does remind me that I do have things worth actually fighting for, and things that are worth me giving up this one small part of my life that I poured out and poured into, literally. You know what I'm saying? So it's hard. It's hard. It's really hard sometimes. And before this past weekend, I think I went like 2 months without drinking. It's not hard to go without drinking. I've been, close to a year. Actually, in some cases, I have been a year without drinking. You know what I'm saying? It's not that. It's not the not drinking that's the hard part. It's when things come up or start to resurface. It's the not returning to that old feeling, like, not giving into that old feeling, like, I need to self-medicate to deal with this. Or how do I deal with this without self-medicating? That's the hard part. To be honest with you, a lot of these feelings, man, like sometimes I get these feelings, man, and I want to cry about that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, just to let it out. Like, not on some boo-hoo, I'm sad shit. But, excuse me. But just like some really just let that shit out, let that shit go type shit. But I can never shed a tear. I can never, not even out of bravado or like just too much masculinity or ego or pride. Not even out of none of that. It's just, I want to, but there's nothing there. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if that makes sense. Like, I want to, like, I have the feeling, like I have the desire to just cry and let that shit out. But when I try to, it's like it's empty. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I do know that I gotta let this shit go. And I have to be good with that. I don't know. I haven't quite found a way to deal with the feeling of, well, like I said, well, what do I do now if I can't drink? What do I do now with these feelings? I have to figure out what to do in those moments. But I have good people supporting me. I've always had good people supporting me. I may have not always been good to them in hindsight, but I do have good people supporting me. I have some really good people, new people in my life that I care about a lot, that support me, and I appreciate them immensely. And I love those people. All of them. I do. But somebody told me today accountability is a huge part of this, and I'm all for being accountable. And somebody else told me setbacks will happen, but you gotta keep, moving. And I just hope I'm not taking accountability too late. And I'm just hoping that these setbacks don't cost me, they don't cost me, relationships, or they don't cost me a part of myself that I've, been able to reconnect with or to find again. And, that whole thing. But yeah, that's really all I wanted to get into, just to kind of vent. I got this episode that I've been wanting to do. I had 2 or 3 episodes I've been wanting to do, and every time I sit down to find time to do the episodes I want to do, something happens in my life, and I have to sit down and do an episode that I need to do, which I guess was the whole purpose of this thing. I appreciate y'all, you know what I'm saying, for running with me this week. You heard me? I'm gonna fuck with y'all.